The grocery store's fluorescent lights hummed softly overhead as a tired man pushed his cart into the checkout line. He was a single dad, still wearing the faint smell of sweat and dust from a long shift. His shoulders slumped under the weight of responsibility, but he kept a small smile for the little girl perched beside the cart. She clutched a packet of strawberries he had hesitated to buy, her favorite treat, a luxury in a world where every dollar mattered. His cart held only the basics: bread, milk, a few cans, and some rice. Nothing extra, nothing wasted. He glanced at his daughter, her eyes bright with a joy so unshaken by the struggles around her. She didn't see the stack of unpaid bills at home, or the way her father counted coins before making decisions. She only knew that her dad made sure she felt safe, loved, and cared for. He tried to hide his weariness, but it clung to him like a shadow. As the line inched forward, he took a deep breath, thinking of how life had become a balance of stretching too little across too many needs. Yet even in his exhaustion, he felt a quiet pride. He was making it, day by day, for her. What he didn't know was that in a few moments, his tired eyes and tender heart would notice something unusual, something that would remind him, and everyone around him, of the fragile and powerful bond of humanity. The line moved quickly, and soon it was their turn. The dad began lifting the groceries onto the counter, trying to keep things orderly so the process would be fast. He noticed right away that the cashier, a young woman no older than her early 20s, seemed nervous. Her hands fumbled slightly as she picked up the carton of milk, the barcode scanner beeping unevenly as if even the machine sensed her unease. At first, he thought she was just having a rough day, maybe she was new, maybe she was anxious. But as she reached for the loaf of bread, he realized it wasn't clumsiness. Her hands were shaking. The girl pressed her lips together, determined to keep moving, but the tremors betrayed her. She kept her eyes down, trying to hide it, as though she hoped no one would notice. The dad did. He had seen enough tired hands in his own life, hands that trembled not just from fatigue, but from hunger, from stress, from battles no one else could see. His daughter was humming softly, swinging her feet against the cart, but he couldn't take his eyes off the cashier. Something inside him stirred, a mixture of worry and compassion. Finally, as she fumbled with the last item, he leaned forward, lowering his voice so only she could hear. "Are you all right?" he asked gently. "Why are your hands shaking?" The question seemed to freeze her. She blinked, as if startled that anyone had noticed, and for a moment, her fragile composure began to crack. Her eyes lifted slowly, meeting his with a look that was equal parts fear and exhaustion. For a heartbeat, she seemed ready to brush off his question with a polite smile, the way cashiers are trained to do when customers pry. But the words wouldn't come. Instead, her chin trembled, and she swallowed hard before whispering, I haven't eaten today." The dad felt his chest tighten. She gave a shaky laugh, as though embarrassed by her own honesty, then quickly added, "My little brother, he needed the food we had left. He's only 9. I just couldn't." Her voice trailed off, caught between shame and the rawness of her truth. The man's grip tightened on the handle of the cart. He had walked into the store thinking his own burdens were heavy, that the paycheck stretched too thin, that fatherhood alone sometimes felt impossible. But in this moment, he saw someone carrying a different kind of weight, one hidden beneath a work uniform and a strained smile. He glanced at his daughter, who had gone quiet, her wide eyes fixed on the trembling young woman. Even a child could see the cracks in her strength. The cashier lowered her gaze again, sliding another item across the scanner as if pretending the confession hadn't slipped out. But it had, and it hung in the air between them, fragile and powerful. For the first time in a long while, the single dad felt speechless. He hadn't expected that his small question would open a door into someone else's private battle. The dad stood there for a moment, frozen, the weight of her words sinking in. He looked at the groceries lined up on the counter, then back at the young woman whose hands were still trembling as she tried to keep working. His heart ached. He knew what it was like to feel powerless, to wonder how you'd make it through the week, to sacrifice without anyone noticing. And he couldn't let her walk away from this moment unseen. Taking a quiet breath, he leaned closer and said softly, "Add a hot meal to this. And some groceries for you and your brother." Her head snapped up, eyes wide. "No, please, sir, I can't let you do that. You have your daughter to take care of. I'll be fine." But he shook his head firmly, his voice steady with conviction. "Someone once helped me when I was at my lowest. They didn't ask if I deserved it, or if I could pay them back. They just gave. Now it's my turn." His daughter tugged gently at his sleeve, her small voice chiming in with innocent certainty. "Daddy's right. Everyone deserves to eat." The cashier's lips parted as if to argue, but the words caught in her throat. She blinked rapidly, her vision blurring with tears she could no longer hold back. The screen lit up with the added items, and the dad slid his card across the counter without hesitation. In that moment, it wasn't about money. It was about dignity, about kindness, about remembering that no one should face hunger alone. The transaction finished, but the moment lingered in the air like something sacred. The young cashier stood frozen, one hand pressed against her mouth as tears spilled freely down her cheeks. She wasn't used to being seen, really seen, not as just the person behind the register, but as a human being fighting a battle no one else could see. "Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling. "You don't know what this means." The dad gave her a gentle smile, one born of empathy rather than pity. "I do," he said quietly. "I know exactly what it means." His daughter reached across the counter and offered the cashier one of the strawberries from their pack. It was such a simple gesture, but it carried the purity of a child's heart, the belief that kindness is always worth sharing. As they walked out of the store, the dad felt something shift inside him. He had entered that grocery line weighed down by exhaustion and worry, but he was leaving lighter, as though giving had healed something in him too. His daughter skipped at his side, humming again, blissfully unaware of how her words and her presence had helped spark a moment of grace. Inside, the cashier wiped her cheeks and drew in a shaky breath, clutching the slip of the receipt like it was proof that good still existed in the world. That night, 2 families ate. But more than that, 2 families carried with them the same truth: kindness is never wasted, and sometimes the smallest act of compassion can feed more than just the body, it can feed the soul.